Welcome into Week 8 of the Bulldog Blitz. I'm Gerhard Mathangani, joined in by the head coach of the Anderson Bulldogs, Eddie Bullock, and Coach, a tough one against Hoax Bluff Friday night. Just your thoughts about just the way everything played out. I know last week was a really tough one as far as emotionally and physically being able to play that tough Sacs team, and then talk about some of the things that happened Friday night.
Well, I just think we had a relapse of sort of mindset that happened a few weeks ago against Jacksonville. We just came out flat, and I don't know if it was just our mindset or if Hoax Bluff had a lot to do with it, but we just didn't play the way we typically play. And, Hoax Bluff is a good team, and they jumped out on us.
Now, Hoax Bluff was one of those teams that last year, they started off rough. I think 0-3 on the season, and then they ended up having that crazy run and then making it all the way to the state semifinal teams. Are you sensing a team in Hoax Bluff that just kind of came in just red hot and had a lot of confidence?
Well, I believe they got the experience, and they know the situation and know what they're playing for. I believe that they felt the same way we did, and of course they had the same information we had as far as knowing that if we won out, we would be ahead of them as far as being in the playoff race. And they did what they needed to do to win the football game, and it's part of having experienced people playing, and that's sort of what I've been trying to teach my guys. All you have to say is the word playoffs, and that should get you fired up a little bit. But, we had it in the palm of our hand. We just let it go.
Over the last 2 weeks, you've played the Sacs and Hoax Bluff, and two teams that have come in between them only had one loss. Have you seen just a different dynamic with those two teams over the course of the last couple of seasons?
Well, just two different teams. Sacs more or less was pretty big up front, and they just outmanned us up front. And Hoax Bluff, we just didn't get up for them, and that was part of the reason why I didn't pick them for homecoming, because I felt like it wouldn't be any incentive for the guys to get up for that team. And not that they're not a great team, which they are, but the thing about it is there was no common ground, as far as any players known or anything like that. So, they're a good team, and they did what they needed to do.
Absolutely. What was some of the carryover as far as what you saw in practice, physicality-wise, being able to, because you played a really, really tough game. That was a tough physical football game last week, probably the toughest that you've played really in the last couple of years, and then trying to carry that over into last week's practice?
Well, we felt like that we had a few guys kind of dinged up a little bit. So what we did, typically we'd go full pass Monday and Tuesday, and we went full pass Monday, but we backed off a lot of the live scrimmaging and, hidden, because we didn't want to be banged up for Friday. And, of course, Tuesday we went back. We kind of amped it up a little bit Tuesday, just to get the mindset there. And then, of course, Wednesday and Thursday we went through our normal practice schedule. And basically we felt like we were ready. We had everybody health, and we were just ready to go. And we had a couple of guys that fall out during the game, a couple of minor injuries. And we just, just a mindset. We just was not there yet.
Right. Coming up next here on the Bulldog Blitz, we'll take a look at first half highlights, and then a little bit later, second half highlights. We'll also break down the Week 9 opponent. Join us next here on the Bulldog Blitz. We're back here on the Bulldog Blitz. First half highlights of Anderson's game against Hoax Bluff. Coach, talk about some of your early thoughts here in the first part of the game.
Well, we kicked off to them, and of course you see right there the tight end catching the ball in the flats. And we had the two previous plays, we had stuffed them for losses, and that was a big play. Had we defended that pass, we would have made them punt the football, but we sort of sustained the drive for them, and they were able to punch it in on us early, and I think from that point on, we were deflated. We just kind of went downhill from there. They just outsmarted us, and I think we may have gotten 5 plays the first quarter, and we just played flat, But that's, all credit goes to Hoax Bluff for doing the things they need to do, and they knew we had something to play for right there. You can see we missed about 5 or 6 tackles on the running back there, and should have had him down in the backfield, but we just didn't wrap up. We make one good play, we make one bad play, and it put us on a hole. Right here you can see we got a kick return. We got pretty good yardage on the kick return. Right here we threw a quick bubble screen to Jaquez Maynor, and you know, we were 1 yard from the first down, and right here you see we get the first down, and we actually came back and faked the punt right here. We were 1 yard from the first down. We came back and faked the punt, and we got the first down to sustain the drive, and you know, we just went a little bit flat right there. You see we didn't complete a pass, turned the ball over on downs, and again we should have had a quarterback sacked in the backfield. We blew a coverage right there. Cornerback just didn't wrap up, and we just kept helping them sustain drives. You know, of course you seen us hit him in the backfield right there, and running back he just ran over the safety. So we just some things we didn't do, and Hokes Bluff kind of jumped out on us, and we were driving the ball here, and had a good drive going, got a good first down. You see J.B. Carlisle right there. He's in the open, makes a fantastic run, and we got the ball, and we just kind of stalled on downs right there. You can see J.B. running the ball again. He had a great night running, but we ended up turning the ball over on downs, and right here, of course, I put a new cornerback in, Stepman Orr, and he kind of got out of position. We gave up a pass, and right there in 4 plays, they ran a seam route, and we had 3 guys around the football, but we just didn't make the play, and Hokes Bluff scored in maybe 40 seconds on us right there, right before the half. And of course, you see here, we got a couple of good runs from Jaquez Maynor, but you know, we just gave up 28 points just quickly.
Absolutely, 28-0 score in the first half, and last week was a really physical first half. And I got the feeling here that, you know, JB made some plays and Jaquez Maynor made some plays, but it seemed like they were trying to take maybe K. O'Neal out of the game and make you try to go to something different. And it was just a matter of being able to string together a lot of consecutive positive plays.
Well, they were, and all the teams that we played in the past, you know, K. O'Neal has been doing a great job, but you know, basically, we knew we could count on those other guys. We were sort of shooting ourselves in the foot. We would have 2 or 3 great plays, and then we would have a play where we would get sacked, or we would have a miscue, and we would end up stalling the drive and having to punt the football. So we kind of hurt ourselves, you know. But you know, Hokes Bluff had a lot to do with that. So you know, that's what good teams do.
Absolutely. When you broke down film last week and some of the things you saw in the first half when you were talking to your guys, was it about the same things that you were talking about as far as offensively and defensively and what they were trying to do schematically?
Absolutely. We knew that we had to contain the quarterback, and we knew that we had to tackle and wrap up against the running back, you know, and that's what make the offense go. Other than that, Hokes Bluff didn't have a lot of weapons. You know, they had more role players, and the 2 guys we needed to contain, we just didn't contain them. I mean, they did what, you know, the leaders on the team do, and, you know, they deserved it. They outplayed us.
Absolutely. And when you ever have like a good quarterback and running back combination, I would think, especially in high school football, that really helps your football team and your offensive flow because you can kind of hurt the defense in 2 different ways.
Well, it does, and they know how to use the guys that are in the role positions to help set up what they're going to do. And that's something that, you know, with a year off of missing a year of development with Savion and having a sophomore running back that hadn't gotten many starts, that's the difference because, you know, they know that you're scheming for them, but they also know how to use the role players to make you have to, you know, honor those positions. And then that's when it allowed them to do some of the things they need to do because they have such high football IQ.
Absolutely. Going into halftime, what was your message to the team? Because obviously you're a second half team in a lot of ways, and being able to come back and get some points on the board. What was your message there at the break?
Well, the main message I had was I just asked the question, why were we so flat? You know, I couldn't understand because we had a great week of preparation. You know, all the practices were fine, and I just asked the guys, I mean, why are we so flat? I mean, what causes us to be that flat? You know, and one of my linebackers said that he felt like that once they scored the first drive on us, all the air came out and we just stopped communicating. And, you know, that's not the sign of a great team. You know, you got to always communicate even through adversity. And, you know, I've been expressing that all year to them, you know, and that's part of leadership, but we just, you know, we couldn't get it over. You know, I got a sophomore Mike linebacker and Caleb Jennings, and, you know, once they hit us, you know, he just locked down, he just shut down, and it's just hard to get them to understand that you still got to fight through that adversity.
Right, and play at that top level. A couple more touchdowns on the board for Edison in the second half. You'll see that coming up in our second half highlights. We'll also break down the Week 9 opponent next here on the Bulldog Blitz. But first, the Edison High School Marching Band takes us to their performance against Oaks Bluff. Welcome back to the Bulldog Blitz, second half highlights. Coach, talk about some of the things, your early impressions here in the third quarter.
Well, second half, they kicked off to us, and of course, you see Sharrell Brown receives the kickoff and gets a good return. The first kick they had, they were offside, so I made them re-kick the football again, and we got better field position. And of course, you see right there, we had a play that we ran 100 times in practice. You know, one of our minor plays, and linebacker dropped back in the curl zone, and we threw an interception on that play. And you know, just one of the things that we've done in the past. You know, of course, you see that we missed the tackle, and you know, running back gets a good run against us there, and they ended up quarterback rolling out. He almost punched it in, but he didn't. I think he got it down to maybe the 1 yard line, and of course, the next play, the quarterback sneak, and they punched it in on us, and you know, ended up adding a touchdown there, and we came back, and we had a couple of good plays. You know, we couldn't put a series together. We had a couple of good plays, and we had to punt the football, and of course, they came back again, and you see right there, we missed, had the running back tackle in the backfield, but we missed the tackle, and you know, they had time of possession in the third quarter on us also, so, you know, they had the football the majority of the time. You know, we were getting 3 and outs, and of course, we put the sophomore quarterback in, Tyree Carmichael, and you can see there on his first play, he threw an interception, and you know, we were right back in the hole again, and you know, we forced him to punt the football again, and of course, right here you see we fumbled the punt, and Oaks Bluff recovered it, and once again, they came right back in, and done a quarterback boot. We had a new outside linebacker on the outside, and he was supposed to stay at home contained, but you know, he bit down inside, and of course, they scored again. So, you know, right here you can see in the fourth quarter, we started just involving Kay O'Neal a little bit more right here. And Tyree is a very shifty quarterback. You can see he had to work on mechanics as far as throwing the football, and you know, he's got to get a little bit stronger in the weight room, you know, but he did a great job running the football right there, and of course you see he scored a touchdown there, and it kind of helped us out, and right here we went for 2-point conversion. You see J.B. Carlisle, who's a sophomore, he converted the 2-point conversion, and you know, of course they had their second unit in right here, and we forced a fumble, and we were able to recover the football again, and you know, you can see right here where Tyree hit Kay O'Neal on a bubble screen, and you know, he was able to take it all the way to the house, and scored a touchdown. And of course, we lined up again, and we went for 2. And actually, the same play we've been running, Savion should have pitched the football there, but you know, that's a play we've missed all season. He should have been pitching the football. It's an option, and if we had the numbers on the team, we'll normally run that particular play, and
right.
We still hadn't got it right. We got the 2-point conversion, but we didn't pitch the football. We should have pitched it right there.
Absolutely. You see the final score there, 41-16. And I would think that, especially towards the end, you saw some fight there and maybe able to glean some positives, especially from guys like Tyree and also JB, who came in and performed well as young guys?
Well, just some of the younger guys, you want to see that, and you want to get them live game reps for next year. It was very disappointing because, as I told them all week, we had we could determine our own destination. It was in our hands, and we still hadn't quite. You have your football part on the field, you have your part in the weight room, but the other part is you got to have a mindset and know how to win and know the importance of certain games, and that's the part we got to work on. We have to learn that.
Absolutely. Darian Meads was the running back that you played against on Friday night against Oaks Bluff, and a lot of people are deeming him probably one of the best running backs in Class 4A football. Is that some of the things that you saw after watching him play for 4 quarters?
Absolutely. He's a phenomenal player. And it's ironic because he hadn't had the type of year against the other teams as he had against us, and I couldn't figure that out because, I felt like we would wrap him up or we would do better than what we did. But, once again, he proved, how great of a back he is because he just ran over us. And I think we got one of the toughest defense probably in the region, but, we just didn't show it.
Absolutely. Well, so what's the message now going forward as you take a look at the 2 games that are remaining on the stretch and being able to keep the team focused and ready to go, especially with a big week, and we'll break down Aniana in our next segment, but the overall general focus of the team moving forward?
Well, it's all about character, teaching the kids character. At Anderson High School, that's one of the things that I constantly stress because, our school tends to get labeled sometimes, based on just who you are. And, you don't have to be something because somebody said that's who you are. And part of it is getting the guys to understand that even though we don't have the opportunity to play in the playoffs, that we still are obligated to play as a team and to finish. And, I basically told them, I said, you guys' character and my character is going to be tested. And, I've coached earlier when we had coaching changes and we didn't win but 1 football game, and I never missed practice, and I didn't stop coaching the way that I was supposed to coach. And even last year I told them, I said, we're much better off. We won 1 ahead of what we were last year with 2 games remaining. And I said, I still coach the remainder of the season just like I did at the beginning of the season. And I told them, I said, here's where your true character going to be tested, based on what we do the following 2 weeks to finish out the season, and I can make a determination of our season based on these last 2 weeks because it'll tell me what I had all year.
Absolutely. We'll break down the first of the last 2 weeks' opponents in Aniana. It's the final region game in Class 4A, Region 5. The Anderson Bulldogs will go back on the road. We'll break that down next here on the Bulldog Blitz. Week 9 of the season, Anderson heads back on the road. They'll go to Aniana, another region opponent, Class 4A Region 5 over at Gilbreth Stadium Friday night. First off, Coach, I know as we shoot today, we haven't seen a whole lot of film, but Aniana perennially is probably one of the better teams. I think actually the most winningest team in the state of Alabama. They have the most wins. What are some of your impressions of the Redskins as you move into that game?
Well, they're typically a good team. Again, the record is not indicative of how good that team is because we're in such a tough region. But, we expect a tough physical game. And once again, it just boils down to which team goes out and be more focused and plays more soundly in determining who's going to win that game. And, of course, as I mentioned to the kids, I plan on winning 2 more football games and going into the spring, on a high note.
Absolutely. At this point of the season, are you telling some of your younger guys, hey, look, this is an evaluation time for you, being able to get some good plays, good stuff on film for next year and as you move forward?
Absolutely. And even the senior class, the junior class, I also tell them the same thing. It's a time to basically showcase yourself so that, the colleges can kind of get an idea of what type of player you are, because most of them going to come in and watch teams out of winning. But, if you're a pretty good player, you still got to understand that you on display and, what you have to do. And, as I mentioned earlier, I told them, this will let me know what type of character you have, you know, based on how you finish out the season. Because, you know, last year was probably the toughest year I've had as far as keeping kids motivated, even though we knew earlier that we were not going to the playoffs. And, you know, for some reason, you know, I want to see what we're going to do. This group of kids here have been a totally different group of kids.
Right.
And I don't expect any less, you know, than what we had the previous week. So, you know, I think we'll be fine. But, you know, I also let them know it's an evaluation period.
Absolutely. And you talk about that all the time as far as just coming in with the right attitude, because that goes a long way.
Right.
And then also, when you take a look at this Class 4A Region 5, it's like you said, everybody seems to be improved. Aniana being one of those teams, White Plains being one of those teams, and some of the teams that we've seen over the last maybe 2 or 3 years who've struggled be competitive and really despite every situation.
Well, everybody improved, but I want to say for the record that the 4 teams that made the playoffs, they deserve it. You know, they played the best and they did the things that they needed to do to make the playoffs. And you know, I understand that and I accept that, you know, because, you know, we had our opportunities and we didn't capitalize, and those 4 teams you see at the top had their opportunity and they capitalized on it. So you want the best 4 teams in there, even though I think we're in that category. We don't deserve it because we didn't do the things that we needed to do.
That's right. Now, as you take a look at the standings, 2 things really pop out to me. Number one, a really, really close game against Sachs, who will play for a region championship against Hoax Bluff. A good game against Jacksonville, and really a razor-thin margin, an overtime win by Cherokee County. Basically is the difference in maybe 2 quarters is the difference in who goes to the playoffs and who doesn't.
Well, when you look back, you know, actually the Cherokee County game could have set the tone for us. We lost that game in overtime, you know, 15-12, and, you know, that could have easily been the turning point in our season. But, you know, I look at the overall season, you know, this time last year I think maybe we had 1, maybe 2 wins, and, you know, we just much better off than what we were. But, you know, as a competitive coach, you know, I'm not satisfied with that because I think talent-wise, we have players had the capabilities to make the playoffs, and I think coaching-wise, you know, I have a whole new staff, maybe except for maybe 1 original coach and a couple of volunteers, and everybody else on there is brand new. So we started the season off with that, and that's not an excuse, but, you know, I'm just waiting on the time for us to be able to put it together where, you know, the coaching meets the talent level, and we put it together, put the product together out on the field.
Absolutely. A lot of college football teams kind of see the bowl games as really the springboard to the next season. Is that kind of the mindset you'll take into these 2 games? That they're 2 individual games that obviously that you want to win both of them, but they're good for now as far as the seniors getting in those moments and their final moments in an Anderson High School jersey, but for some of the younger guys being able to springboard that into the next year?
Well, Aniana and Fort Payne are our playoff games. That's round 1 and round 2.
Yeah.
And that's the way we explain it to the guys, you know, because, you know, you want to finish out on a high note and you want to finish out competitive, you know. And, you know, I tell the seniors you don't want to come back 25 years later, 30 years later and have regrets because you didn't leave it all out on the field, because I told the seniors this will probably be the last time that you ever put on a high school uniform, and you need to cherish that moment because you will remember it.
Absolutely. And then some of your impressions of Aniana as you move forward here, and some of the things that you will want to do as far as in practice and carrying it over to next Friday night.
Well, they're a spread team, and they like to run the football, and basically you want to get them out of their element. You know, you want to make them throw it more than what they typically does, you know. And same situation with Hoax Bluff. You know, Hoax Bluff really don't like to throw the football. They like to run it. And, you know, we wanted to stop them from running the football and throw it. And we just didn't have success in either one of them. So, you know, sort of the same game plan going against Aniana. Absolutely.
Well, good luck to you, Coach. Next Friday night, we'll break it all down as Anderson heads to Aniana. Head over to Aniana and support the Bulldogs. We'll break it all down right here next week on the Bulldog Blitz.